Hello, hello, beautiful people. Oh my goodness. As usual, super excited. We get to hear a bit more about Hannah, who is one of our Beauty from Ashes authors. And actually, for Jessie and I, it's even more exciting because this lovely lady is all the way from Australia. She's actually one of two. Actually, no, we've got three, I think,
Make
Australian
it three,
authors.
yeah.
We've got three Aussies in our group and a couple of Kiwis. So we're kind of, branching out we've got one or two from the UK as well. So we're kind of like spread.
International.
We
Yeah.
are and look at us now, international, three of us from three different countries. How cool is that? Just quietly. Anyway, we're very excited. Hannah has come and joined us because a friend of hers, Sue, said, "You'd really enjoy this. Come along." And Hannah was brave enough to go, "Okay, I will." I do think she's slightly nuts, but it's great to have her on board. And Hannah, just welcome, welcome, welcome. It has been delightful to see your chapters coming in and you being part of what we're up to in this crazy space. And thank you. I can see that you're a mighty woman of God. I'm very excited that you're in the teaching space, which I apparently have just walked into in the last few days, and realized how much goes on behind the scenes at school. But very excited to have you with us. And thank you for saying yes, because your yes opens the door to so many other yeses from
Mhm.
other people. But I'll hand over to Jesse because Jesse actually has been digging in your chapter as he does in his wisdom and insight. And I know that people here will want to know, who is this amazing lady and what is she writing about?
Yeah. Welcome, Hannah, again. We'll let you talk in a little bit. We're excited to interview you about your chapter, and about this product, this project. For those of you who are watching, we're doing a 12-month anthology project where we have 20 authors coming together, writing their Beauty for Ashes stories to basically to encourage and to love on people reading it. And we're in month 4 or 5 now, and we finished the writing, and people submitted their chapters. Now we're doing all the editing, and we're moving fast, but we're also moving methodically and professionally. And I just absolutely been loving interviewing people, and Hannah especially. It's she wrote us a chapter called "The God Who Stayed in the Room," and I just really I'm thankful that you shared your story. And I also I'm very thankful that you did a lot of scripture in your story. I know that it's sometimes can be, you're very grounding, and when you're able to share your story, it's also good to ground it in what God is doing. And I really feel like we will ask you more about kind of why you wrote that and what you love about that. But your chapter really earned that title. That even you mentioned that even when you really couldn't look at him sometime, even when you couldn't feel him, you believe that he stayed in the room with you and and I feel like it makes your chapter feel earned. And I know it's going to encourage many people about surviving faith. Survival faith is what you call it. And yeah, we're really your chapter gives language to long suffering, and it offers people just a good relationship with a honest, gentle Jesus. And so we're happy to interview you. So welcome. And my first question we're gonna ask you is, kind of like, we have a series of questions that start with it's LIFE, to kind of from Sally, to kind of dig deeper. And the first one is love. And so just kind of tell us about who you are, and more about what you love about yourself, and what you love about the opportunity to write this chapter with us.
Um,
If that's
like
not too much.
no, that's can you break down the question a little bit for
Sure.
me?
Well, let's just start with, with what do you love about who you are?
Um, I think I really, I mean, like I'm a teacher and a lot of my uh education and also like my childhood and upbringing was around sport and being outdoors and all that kind of stuff, like just
Hmm.
being active. And I think it created a lot of um like adventure or an adventurous spirit in me.
Hmm.
And I really love that side of who I am, the one like the person in me who wants to go out and explore new things and try new things, and a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, I must admit, but that's okay. I love that side of who I am. And also I think with that comes a determined and like not independent, but very like I just love to like give things a go and try something. And once I have my mindset on something, like I'm going to find a way to do it. So I love that about myself as well.
It's beautiful. I love that. And so so then tell us then about like your kind of your chapter then. And so you're submitting this. So you come to us, you hear about us from Sue and this project and for this anthology or these other 19 people, and you say yes to us. Kind of what made you kind of choose to say yes and kind of join this opportunity?
Um, I wanted to like look at writing my own book at some point in the future, just about the things that I've been through with my health and chronic illness and what I've learned along the way, about myself, about God, about the medical system, like just about everything that the experiences have involved. But writing a book also felt really daunting and scary.
Can be. Yeah.
Um, and it felt like I was going straight from like, running 50 meters to running like 5K instead of warming up a little bit. So, when I heard about this, I thought it would be a great way to like dabble in writing and getting a little bit of my story out there, but in a way that doesn't feel as daunting or overwhelming as writing an entire book on my own.
Wise, yeah. I hope that it's playing out that way. But yes, thank you.
It is.
Yeah, I love that, Hannah. I love that analogy, and I can tell you're a sports
Yeah.
lady because you're like 50 meters or 5K. Like, I want to dip my toe. I want to get into this. I want to do some writing. Let me see. Do I do 5K first, or do I just do this short sprint and see if I like it? And if like, actually, if I flex my muscles and this works, then actually that mountain's doable. You know, I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. And I love the fact that writing hasn't to this point been part of your journey. So this is a new adventure for you in a different way.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Go girl. Well, we're very excited to have a young, adventurous, fit, healthy, gorgeous girl with us who just wants to share that knowledge, because what I love about what you're sharing, and also unfortunately what you've been through, because it's always the fact that we've had to go through somewhere to get to this point, is you will be able to give wisdom and insight to other young people, not just old people like us, although we're grateful for your wisdom and insight. You'll be able to speak into those hearts and minds of those that are right where you were. So
Yeah.
I guess someone comes to read your chapter, and I love it. The God who stayed in the room. I hadn't even read that title, so I'm very excited about that. See, I pricked my ears and I haven't even read anything yet. What insights do you hope that somebody reading your chapter, what insights do you want to share with them? What do you hope that they're going to gain from reading your chapter?
Probably the biggest thing is that their identity, um, oh, I just dropped out. Oh
Oh,
no, I didn't. Sorry.
you're good.
You're
My
good.
screen went black. Um, Probably the biggest thing that I would want someone taking out of that is that your identity or their identity is not in their circumstances and like what they've had to endure or what they are able to achieve or their successes or their, well, I don't guess lack thereof if they've, been stuck in hospital. Like they are not their circumstances. Like you're more than that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That is so refreshing. The fact that, I mean, I've just had the honor of coming into the teaching space. But it's so refreshing to come from a teacher too, because school is all about performance. It's all about
Mm.
achievement. It's all about,
Yeah.
oh, well, you made the first 15, or you made, whatever, especially sports teams. Um, so I love the fact that, yes, that is exciting. Yes, that is an achievement, but it doesn't define who you are. That's
Yeah.
Mhm.
gold. That's gold. So I'm going to dig a bit deeper because it's like, oh, I quite like this. So where would you say your identity is? If it's not in what you do, what inside? So where would, like, I'm reading this chapter, I'm like, oh, holy smokes. I thought it was in whether I had a degree or not. I thought it was in the car I drove or the place I lived or, which sports teams I got into. Where are people going to find their identity when they read your chapter?
Thank God.
Love it. She's just like, in God, of course. Like, where else would it
Come
be?
on.
I love it. Excellent. And what does that give in you? Because that's the freedom. Freedom kind of comes into the next bit. So the insights and the freedom sort of sit together, where when you realize that your identity isn't in this stuff, what freedom does having an identity in God give you?
I think it puts less weight and less importance on your circumstances. And that's not to say that your circumstances aren't important. Like they are, and they're significant. And what you have achieved or what you've been through is valid and significant in your life. And it's something that is still worth talking about, but it shouldn't be like the crux of who you are as a person. It's something you've experienced and not something you are. And I think a lot of people get lost in that because I got lost in that and I had to learn it over a number of years. Like it took me a long time to come out of a place of like, oh, I am my chronic illnesses. Like that's who I am. Like I am sick into a place of, oh no, like I mean, I am sick and I've experienced that, but I am not sick. Like I'm strong and I'm capable and I'm loved and
Yeah.
I'm his. It's like not letting those outweigh what God is calling you to be. Even though they carry weight, they shouldn't outweigh God.
Absolutely.
Let's see, why didn't we have this lady earlier? She's gold. This is
I
great.
know.
I hang out with Graham Cook, and one of the things that he says is never attach a personal pronoun, I am, to, or whatever it might be, a personal pronoun to something that's negative. And you are 100% right. We may, and I love, you are just like gold. Your experience, yes, that is the experience in front of you. Yes, you can look at the medical sheet. You can look at what you can or can't do physically in that moment. And you can say, yes, I am, or I have been, or his common phrase is, I'm fit and healthy, fighting off sickness.
Yeah.
And so the personal pronoun is I am fit and healthy. I'm just fighting off some sickness right now. And sometimes he's taken out for months. Like it's not like, oh, I'm just having a cold, you know. And but I love that the experience is real when you're not putting down that it didn't exist. You're not running away from the fact that if you have chronic fatigue or have had those symptoms, it is debilitating. That's
Yeah.
not, but that's the bit, that's you. You're like, but God, but that's not the end of the story, and that's obviously what you're going to be sharing. But it isn't who you are. And I love the fact that you can claim, I am strong, I am capable, I am loved, even if in the moment you're lying on a bed with no energy, or you're lying on sitting down with no energy, you can still claim that and seek that as God then fills you with what he wants to fill you with. Wow. Did you find once you'd had that revelation, you realized your identity was in him? Did your world change? Like, did how you see, when you change the way you see the world that you see changes? Was there any shift for you in how you saw things?
Um, yes and no. Like yes, from the sorry,
That's
that's
No,
a
good.
you're
bit
This
good.
is
complex
right.
for me. Um, No, because like I still have to go to hospital and have admissions, and like I still like, I have to turn around to school and say I can't work this week because I am in hospital sick. And so a lot of like that still carried the same like load of time and energy and effort. Like it didn't, that
Yeah.
side of things didn't change. But the way that I think I went into them changed, or the way that I went into school changed. I think I wasn't prioritizing the mental game of constantly thinking about being sick, or constantly thinking about the conditions that I had, or how to get better, or what am I like, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? I just kind of got to a point where I was like, oh, well, like, yes, it is happening and it sucks. And I still have to find a way to like make the appointments align with work and all these other things, but they're not like, they don't have to carry the same mental load that they do. Like I'm able to shift and put a break between them and I, like, they don't equal weakness, or um like those appointments and the sicknesses they don't connect to emotion, I think, anymore. Like I get sad at some things and I get angry at some things, but they're not like, oh, the doctor said that they can't fix this, so I'm not capable. Like they don't carry that same connection anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
might not make sense.
No, it makes absolute sense, because instead of it being this is the end, it's like, okay, this is the beginning of the next chapter of whatever this is that God's got for me in this journey. It's not, you know, yes, you still have to live through what you're living through, and you're 100%, you've still got to go to appointments, you've still got to do what, so that
Yeah.
doesn't change. But how you look at it, how you see it, and the weight that you choose to carry, and that's when he says, come all who are heavily laden, and I'll give you rest. That's
Yeah.
exactly what he's given to you. And it's like, my yoke is easy, not Sally's, but Jesus says it's easy and my burden is light. And that's what you've got. You've got that. So yes, this stuff, and yes, you don't want to be, oh, 800, sorry, I can't come in because I'm in hospital today. Nobody wants to do that. But it's not that, oh, like it's that lightness that he's given you, because his yoke is easy and his burden is light.
Yeah,
I
I
love
like that you were able to,
it.
I mean, like, yeah, I thank you for being honest and real too. I mean, it's like we have a plethora of people, in this project that some people have, been fully healed and some people have not. Some people have, fully like overcome their ashes story, some that are kind of close, it's like it's this is what's really great is it's that we're not asking for a clean bow on this project. We're asking for honest, authentic stories that I believe that will help people. And thank you for being honest. And this that tension, it's that the tension of like, believing that God, I don't know. I mean, believe that God can heal, but believing that there's a process and why, I mean, there's things that I go through. Luckily, I've not dealt with physical stuff, but I've dealt with emotional things that I've been hanging on for a long time and wanting freedom. And it's like, I heard of somebody once said that it's like reality is this, but truth is this. I mean, the reality is I'm dealing with this. Truth is, like kind of what Sally was saying, truth is I'm healthy, but reality is I'm experiencing unhealth in some ways, and it's just that wrestling and attention. And so just I'm thankful that you're able to share your story and to encourage people to, because in the end of the day, it's true. It's like you're not finding like you're like my identity is not, it's not in this, and I think that's beautiful. So like now thinking about that, I mean, just I don't mean you can feel free to respond to that, but as far as you writing this down, like kind of like what do you hope to for people reading it to be able to actually kind of take away from what you've written?
I learned that lesson a lot quicker than I did because I spent a long time and many years like letting my illness and the deterioration in my body and the diagnosis after diagnosis kind of consume everything about me. Like I had to consume my time. That was something unavoidable, but it also consumed my emotions and my mental capacity, and it became my work, and it also became my personal life, and it became everything. And with that, it became my identity. And I think that if people can learn that your experiences are your experiences, but they're not who you are, they're what happened to you, a lot quicker than, I don't know, like the 5 years that I was trying to go through that, then I think that's a blessing, because you don't have to stay in a place of letting your experiences be who you are. You can just let them be experiences.
Hmm.
Wow. And I think the beauty as well is it's not for the story that you carry. And it's a little bit like the story that Stacey carries, actually, because she also, like when she wrote her book and when she wrote her full book, for in her case, it was about miscarriage. It was about losing a baby, and she wasn't then pregnant again, and things hadn't been made a box of fluffies. And, she shares the journey of diagnosis, whether it's diagnosis of your baby's not going to make it, or it's diagnosis of a health condition that is unhelpful. She talks in a similar way to you about choosing. Like you spent 5 years and it became consuming. Obviously, pregnancies don't last that long, but it's about that. That it can be all consuming. What are you going to eat? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And as you say, it's the mental, it's the physical, like you can't get away from it. And yet you can choose God because he was in the room with you. You can turn towards him and he gives you the strength and the insight to see it differently. So that, yes, I am sitting here, or yes, I am in hospital. Fact, as Jesse said, reality is X.
Hmm.
Truth is, I'm loved, I'm chosen, I'm strong, I'm healed, I'm whole, but you can choose that in the midst of not actually having seen it yet. It's the unseen becoming seen, which is gold. And for people who are going through that, you will be just such a lifeline to read that chapter and to have that insight. And so I guess funny, because I've literally just come from a radio show. We've just been talking about a book that Janine wrote, actually, about in this sort of addiction space, and just how dark things can get, and actually how isolated we can become. In your case, it's different from addiction, but like, because you then feel different, you then feel like you don't fit in, you then like all this, and you, without knowing it, you've kind of almost removed yourself. And obviously, if you're in hospital, you're not in school. Like it does it without you even noticing. And so our last question when we chat with people is often about engagement. In other words, how has you were here, you're now here. So the beauty from Ash's story for you. How has it helped you? What has God done to help you with your relationship and come into alignment with the fact that you are strong and brave and courageous and a child of God and all those things? And then how has that, affected your relationships, art, because it's always like him and then art. How's it, has it been a good thing? Has your engagement with others, you're obviously teaching, so you're back at school, like how has it helped you? Because we're hoping that obviously what helped you helps other people.
Right.
How has the experience helped me, or how has the writing helped me?
Do you know what? Go with the experience. Then if you want to share something about the writing, brilliant.
Yeah. Either one.
I mean, like the main experience that I talk about is like the 4.5 month admission that I had in hospital in my chapter. And that was during like the pandemic and the lockdowns, and we got hit pretty hard in Melbourne, a lot harder than a lot of other places in the world. And so I like that was like, if you think about isolation, like that was the ultimate isolation. There was
Hmm.
those restrictions. I was also in a single room, which I mean, I'm grateful for that, but there was also those restrictions. And then I was infectious. So I wasn't allowed visitors, even if visitors were allowed in the hospital, which they were at different times, but I wasn't allowed because I was like, I had two quite infectious diseases at the time. All the nurses were like full gown, glove, the lot, every time they had to come into my room for anything. So, like, it was literally like me with a room for 4.5 months. Um, I think that kind of isolation really makes you grateful for the non-isolated periods in life. And it kind of realigned I mean, it definitely made me I was always a people person, but it definitely made me more of a people person. I like love my husband, attached to him at a hip, like literally all day, just waiting for him to come home from work. Love hanging out with family, pets, and like anything, you name it. I think it's just really like honed in on me wanting to be connected with people and not wanting to be alone. And I think, maybe there's still some healing that needs to take place there of, oh, alone is associated with loneliness and isolation. And it doesn't have to be, but I that experience taught me that I need people around me to thrive and to feel connected. And I think also to feel just like, safe and loved and all those other emotions. Um, and I think being stuck in the medical field for that long period of time, like it wasn't like, oh, you're in for hospital, but then you're also got school at the same time or uni, work, whatever it was. Like I had uni, but I only had it for the first few weeks because I was done with my course by that point. So once that last assignment was done, that was it. So it was literally just hospital was it. And I think it made me feel really grateful for um the the little things in life, like being able to read a book or like being able to go for a walk, like something I wasn't allowed to do for that whole time. Just
Hmm.
those little moments, it made those feel more important. The different ways that you can connect with God, like for me it was just worship music because I didn't have my Bible with me. I had it on my phone, but I didn't have like a physical copy. I didn't have the ability to go to church. I didn't have the ability to connect with community. I think that's why I titled it The God Who Stayed in the Room, because I wasn't like, connecting in the typical cliche ways you would with God. Like I wasn't able to go for a drive and listen to music or go for a walk and pray. It was just me in a room
Hmm.
and he was there.
I love that though.
Wow. I
Sorry, that got a
mean,
little bit like messy.
No, this is what's beautiful about our project is that it is we invite the messy because like you said, God stays in our mess. I mean, that really is at the end of the day why we're doing this. And so I mean, I really do appreciate you sharing and being courageous about your story and yeah, sharing about it. And we could definitely be interviewing you for a long time, which is but I know that you're doing your work and yeah, I want to ask you a few more like a few more easy questions in some ways because I want people to be able to actually, I mean, like you have a lot of story in you and know that you are planning on maybe writing your own book sometime. Is that kind of a goal of yours? Yes, because it's like
Yeah.
let's start with this. Do you have any kind of like ways for people to kind of follow after you in this journey? I mean, I can share about ways people can follow after the whole project, but you personally, do you have any kind of um socials that you want to share or anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but
I chucked in like the Instagram page that I use just to like share my health story
Mhm.
and faith in the bottom of my chapter in my
Okay.
author bio bit. Um, but at the moment, it's just that.
Okay. Do you want to share it? I mean, like we can put it when we do share these videos, we can maybe put it in the comments if you want, but you can also speak it out if you'd like or
I don't know it off by heart.
okay, no worries. We'll
Sorry.
put it in the chat. But I think for other people, if you want to follow the whole project, we're doing this at Beauty beautyforashesanthology.com, and that will redirect to kind of above the sun's page, which is kind of my publishing and my media company, and you can join the mailing list there. And if you are specifically impacted by Hannah's story, there is a spot at the bottom where you can put her name. And when we do, part of what I love helping people just kind of like not just write a book, but just launch themselves into changing the world. And I really feel like this is, you know, a small step for Hannah, and that we're gonna have her uh, build a website, mailing list, all kinds of stuff. And so if you want to follow after, you know, Hannah, and if she as she grows, by putting her name in that mailing list, we can then add you to also to her mailing list. You give permission to then follow her specifically as well. But yeah, beautyforashesanthology.com, and join the process. We're hoping to publish this book by the end of the year, and just everyone's story. And it's just yeah, just like Hannah, there's a lot of people with just amazingly raw stories, and very, 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 very powerful. So um do you want to say anything before we kind of, you know, both of you guys, Hannah and then also Sally, just before we kind of end today, just like final thoughts?
I just want to say a huge thank you to Hannah and a huge thank you to God,
Yeah.
because being in isolation, you know, back, I have grandparents that I had the chance of chatting to that were in the war, and when I was much younger, and isolation is a form of torture. Like
Yeah,
it,
it is.
that's, you know, it's mental and physical torture in not being able to go out for a walk, not being able, all the things that we take for granted that allow us to live healthy, happy, connected lives. We're stripped from you not just for a few weeks or even a few hours, but for a huge length of time. So I actually just want to honor you, Hannah, not only for being in the room with God and seeking Him in that situation and finding strength in who He really was for you to get you through, but then having the courage to share the story, because
Hmm.
not many will go through what you have gone through, but what they will do is relate to how you felt. They'll
Yeah.
relate to that feeling of isolation, even if it wasn't in a hospital room like you had. And so I just thank you. And Father God, I thank you that Hannah said yes to come and joining us. She's brave and courageous and has had the courage to write this down and to bear all to the world about how she felt, about how this really was, about how tough it was, because it's messy and it's ugly and it's not nice. And that's so that, just as she said, if somebody could have 5 years shortened, that time that it took her to learn some of this stuff, to walk through some of this stuff, to shift her identity, not in what was happening around her, but into who she really is. If one person was able to shorten that time frame and see it through a different lens, then it was worth it for her
Yeah.
to share the story. And I feel there will be many. There'll be many. I actually sense that there'll be many that write to you more than maybe some of us, you know, that are also writing, because you're going to go straight to the core. So I just thank you. And I say thank you, Father God, for this wonderful opportunity you've given Jesse and I to gather some really beautiful, and Hannah's one of them, just beautiful, genuine, heartfelt people who are just out there being them, just being who they are in this world. And we
Yeah.
say thank you for all of those that are listening to this and who are going to hang out with us and have some fun. And we just say thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.